So I'm back with Noreen O'Sullivan, who has, like many of us, our work with energy and healing and animals and people, it changes over time because that's what it's supposed to do as living human beings. So I wanted to check in. Noreen and I did a podcast on EFT and tapping, and I wanted to check in because that's now going live on on my YouTube channel, and you're welcome to go see it. But I wanted to check in and share what Noreen, what are you doing now?
Well, I am still working with animals. Animals are still my biggest inspiration in my life. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of the animals in our lives. Yeah, I think since we last talked, a few horses and actually both my dogs have passed away. So that's always a transition in itself. But we still have one horse that I am not the primary caretaker of, but I work with her. And I think when we did our podcast, I was talking a lot about emotional freedom technique. And I love EFT, nothing wrong with that. But for me in my life and the people that entered it, it just seemed that I didn't need all of that. That I'm highly inspired by EFT, but also inspired by a lot of other things. And as I said, animals are a huge part of it. So what I am teaching is really um, I'm teaching self love um, and love for other people, so that you understand yourself when you're triggered. And that really was what EFT was about. But I've just simplified it into look, listen, love without the tapping, and just catching yourself in moments where you feel uneasy and looking at what you feel at that minute and listening to where you feel it in your body, and then calling in love. And I think that's the part where maybe what I was missing in tapping. I love tapping. I do love tapping, but I also love the power of love and forgiveness. And for sure, I mean, I actually have a story where a horse taught me forgiveness, and that was a quite moving experience in my life. I'm sure I've told you about that, but that was probably the closest I ever came to full on telepathy. I just felt that she was giving me this message to let go of anger, resentment, blame, shame, guilt. And that's what I wanted look, listen, love to do for people, to use it as a tool to catch yourself in moments like that. I don't know if I'm going on too much. Ask if you don't understand what I'm talking about.
No, I think it's very indicative. I do understand about wanting to get to something straight away, the love part, and it's indicative of the different ways that anybody can be called into connection with themselves or somebody else, or to get healing, and that it's just like meditation or Reiki or even EFT. What works for somebody might not work for somebody else, or it might be very meaningful at a one part of their lives, but when something changes in their life, they find that they want something else. And you found that going straight to acknowledging love and focusing on that rather than, for you, the steps of EFT is a game changer, not just for you, but the people who you said were coming to you for support. And I think it's really nice to acknowledge that we don't have to stay with the same practice our entire lives.
Yeah, because I would say that what I'm doing now, it's a blend of everything. I mean, I've turned 57, so I'm not young anymore. And you learn so many things over the years, and that's the difference between every therapist anyway, because we're all bringing our own, what worked for us, or got us over a big hurdle. That's what we bring to every encounter with a client, or with an animal, or however that goes. And yeah, so I don't really have a name for what I do. I just like to think that, um, people come to me when they are uneasy about something, maybe stress, anxiety, um, yeah, you name it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it also shows how losing, loved ones, and like you mentioned, your animals, we often feel a shift like, "Ooh, I don't want to do that anymore," or, "Oh, I feel different." And there's a process exploring, not just the loss of our loved one, but where do I go from here? What do I do? My work is not meaningful, or, as you said, you still enjoy EFT and find it helpful, but it's not how you need to spend your work now. You're being called to blend it into something else. And when I work with clients who are looking to, get support and navigate grief, and with me, they want to find out what their animals are saying from the other side. When they get that information, the pieces that I can share, in a way, it is very reaffirming, but it allows them to give permission to change. Like, oh, I want to change something in my life, and I'm not going to be angry. I am going to be angry, but I'm going to do something about it. But that it's okay to change after the loss of a loved one in our life, or we realize we learn a new modality, or you lean into like your Look, Listen, Love book and launch from there. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us today.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that I'm also spending a lot of time on is that I've started working with an animal sanctuary here in Denmark, and that's been a really wonderful thing. That's more of a practical way, but I think this idea of, as we grow and learn and lose our loved ones, that we, you know, end up in a place where, okay, then things start to make a little bit more sense. It's never going to be, especially when we lose someone too soon, it doesn't make sense for forever maybe, but a little bit when you're pulled, and you see a new space that you are needed,
Right.
is it is like you said, you feel there's purpose, and that's what keeps us going, right?
So I want to touch on the animal sanctuary. A lot of
Yeah.
people will say, my dream is to have a sanctuary, right? That's all I want to do. I want to win the lottery and I want to open a sanctuary. Or, I want to be an animal communicator like you, the conversations I have. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not for everyone. Or, the work you work with kids, and it's like fun to work with kids. But, there's also trade offs on that. You have to be patient and talented to work with kids. And I want to, what are some of the insights you can share? For instance, I have told people, maybe you don't need to be a full-time animal communicator and try and build that kind of a business or lifestyle, but use it in your work at an animal sanctuary, or for you, like using your energy healing abilities at an animal sanctuary without having to open one, right? Can you
Yes.
comment on how it is, what you like about just using your time to go to somebody else's animal sanctuary rather than let's all open sanctuaries? Because I don't think
I
it serves the
totally agree with
animal.
you. Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
insights can you share to people who might do better volunteering or working there than opening one?
that's right. Because I'll tell you, the part of having had horses, I mean, I know what the work was like, the actual like physical work. I mean, I had back pains right before my horses died, and it was a lot of work, and it was, if I'm honest now, it was too much for me. It really was. But um so I'm not ready to jump back into that life, even if I won the lottery. I don't, that wouldn't be what I want. But this working with this animal sanctuary. First of all, it's 2 hours away, so it's not around the corner, which in a way is good for me because then I can't be doing all the physical work because once you're in it, you can't
Yeah.
not see what needs to be mucked and cleaned and whatever. But finding out that there's so many other skills that I have that I can use from here. I've done all their marketing. I'm their educational outreach. So I'm meeting next week with a school, the Copenhagen International School, to try to get the children rallied up to volunteer. So it is an educational outreach. It's not just any animal sanctuary. It is specifically farm animals,
Mhm.
so it's pigs and cows. The only dairy cows in all of Denmark at a sanctuary are at this
Oh, wow.
sanctuary. Yeah, it's really quite amazing because it's a huge country. I mean, it's not a huge, it's a small country with a lot of industrial farming. And the pigs have a horrible life here, even though it's Denmark and people don't think of, you know, the agriculture here being unkind, but it is. And so what I want to teach with this wonderful, loving team, which is a small team. There's one lady, her name's Kirsten. She lives with the animals, and she's with them. She's been with them for 20 years,
Wow.
and she works, like you can't even imagine. And she has a full-time job taking care of elderly people on the side. So for me to come in and be able to help her with fundraising, with educational outreach, getting schools involved in the fundraising and charity events.
So
And
hold on a second. Where can people make a donation if they want to? Do they take donations? If
yes, they
our
do.
listeners want to make a donation to the pigs of Denmark, how do they do that?
Absolutely. Well, I would have to because it's not such an easy website to remember. It's called Dyrenes Free Farm. I mean, that's
Okay. So you'll
maybe
send
I don't
me
know
the
if we.
information. We can add the information if anyone wants to help the pigs of Denmark. Okay, can we do that?
Yeah, there's a PayPal link.
Okay, so great. I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's really important what you're talking about because in California, I hear a lot of people. I have friends who want to open sanctuaries, and I'm like, do you really want to be concerned about fence posts and all that? But look at the good you're doing, and you're doing it from your home, but you're probably in some ways making an even bigger impact to help more animals and the kids who are learning about it.
That's right, and that's what somebody, a very skeptic person, said to me, who might have been my husband, but anyway, he said, "Do you know how many pigs there are in Denmark?" And I said, "I don't care. I know it's millions. It's over 6 million in Denmark alone, and we have more pigs than people." But I said, those pigs that are there are the ambassadors for all the other ones. So the goal is not to expand and save all the pigs. I mean, we would love to do that, but it's baby steps because it's harder to change people's kitchens than their religion. So it's the Danes are very locked into their traditions, and
Mhm.
unfortunately farming is a big part of the culture. And so it's gonna take a lot of outreach.
Well, so I think it's really good. I mean, we as you know, we're posting the videos we did on YouTube so people can see our interviews. And now we're doing an update. And in my work, and as you know, we've worked together and we talk about signs, right? And how do you know, Liz, how do you know about animal communication? And I get images and I hear things, and you've experienced that with your animals when I've gotten signs that were helpful. And but it's also tied to like you listening to you lost animals, many, unfortunately, right? I mean, they lived their life, and then you
Mm,
have felt the shift, and you followed that shift. I call them stepping stones into this new work that you're doing.
yeah.
So I was having a conversation with a person on the other side, because I do have that ability as an animal communicator, my intuition, and I've been tracking it with a doctor, what my brain does. And so the other day I said, okay, well, let's have a sign. Let's just play. And I heard this voice, pig. Okay. 20 minutes later, I'm walking into a restaurant. I put my hands down and there's a basket of little pigs. Okay. So then I tell this story. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's real, this communication. So then I tell my assistant when I come back yesterday, and I said, oh, yeah, guess what the sign was? And she said, what? And I said, pigs. And I showed her the little pig that I had seen. So then I go to the mailbox yesterday, and in it, the top flyer is about a pig and a Disney Moana. Okay. So here we are today. And what are you talking about? And I'm like, at first you started talking about the pigs. And then as your story developed about the role of pigs in Denmark, I'm like, oh my goodness. So people, that's how it works. And is it a coincidence? Maybe, but what if it's not? I'm just saying, I'm sharing that because I get asked these questions. I've had 3 days in a row now of pig conversations in the morning, and I just
I
wanted to share that.
I can't believe it. I really can't because I mean, I feel like crying right now because I was thinking right before I got on this call because we didn't really talk about what we were going to
Not
talk
at all.
about, and we
No,
haven't
I
talked
just
in a
wanted to
long time.
catch.
And I was like, "Oh, I really want to tell her about the sanctuary, but that's not what we're really supposed to be talking about." And so I just said to the universe before, just let me say what I need to say. And then I talked about the pigs. That is
Pigs.
strange.
Yeah. So the pigs were definitely important to you because I can tell you care about the sanctuary. And what's important, I know, to the audience that I have of followers is how we use our knowings in life. I'm an animal communicator, and people think they too want to be one, or they want to open a sanctuary. And just listening to us, I hope anyone listening that you'll remember that it's often stepping stones, and we have ideas that we want to do. I wanted to get a sign, and I heard this voice say pigs, and now 3 days in a row I've had pigs in a big way. And when the first time I heard it, I thought, oh, right, pigs. But okay. And now I definitely have this pig thing. But you sharing about the sanctuary and showing how you have been willing to sort of move away from EFT, which was a big part of your life, and
Yes.
follow it to where you feel aligned in what's meaningful, is opening doors. But now it's changing the world in your country and helping these pigs, and who knows where these kids are going to go. And I really want people to know this is how it works. We have an idea and we let it have its life, and we see where it goes. And that's where it's most meaningful.
Exactly, and also not pushing it. Like, actually, how the whole thing happened was when I was in New York, I had, seen on Instagram. I was one of those people. If I win the lottery, I want a sanctuary, and I took myself. I was like, nobody wanted to go with me and my family to the Woodstock Animal Sanctuary in upstate New York. So I said, you know what? I take care of my parents when I'm in New York, but I'm going to take one day, one night, and I'm going to rent a car and I'm going to go up there and I'm going to stay at that inn, the Gray Barn. It's adorable. Well, I went there and here I am, like I am a plant based eater. And I mean, I feel kind of with it. And I just felt so oh my God, I have so much to learn about how to reach the world when it was the most wonderful place. I loved everything about it. I loved the way they taught in yeah, it was just wonderful. And I was completely inspired. And I actually contacted them and I wanted to do outreach with them. And I thought I could do it from Denmark. And
Mhm.
that just didn't happen. I don't know. Emails weren't answered, whatever. It's
Right,
okay. No hard feelings. I still
right.
love them. But it's because I was needed somewhere else.
That's right, and you were open, you didn't get all mad at them, or
I didn't.
it's
No, no, no. I still think they're great, but I
yeah,
was needed in Denmark, I
yeah,
guess. I don't know.
sounds like it.
Um, And then I wrote to, I Googled where in Denmark. And okay, it's 2 hours away. I don't care. I just need a sanctuary. I really felt I needed a sanctuary in my life, but I didn't necessarily have to have one. But at the time, I think I was thinking I did want one. And I thought, okay, well, if you can't, I mean, obviously, it takes a lot of money to have a
Right,
sanctuary.
and
So
ongoing replenishing, right? So you
exactly. Yeah. So I thought, okay, so all right, I'm not going to have one now. So what's one step closer? Working at one or helping or volunteering. I was probably going to go and volunteer. I just wanted to go visit them. I wanted to
Mhm.
make sure they were like the real deal, that their hearts were in the right places and that they weren't using animals to make money. And then I got there. And first of all, they welcomed me with open arms, just just let me go to town. And I have to send you Instagram videos. We made little pig cookies, and for the table we had a big charity event. It was, I mean, we just had so much fun, and I was in it, and it didn't matter that I didn't have my own sanctuary.
You
I'm a
own the
huge
place.
I'm a huge part of this now, and I love it. And that's enough for me, for now. We'll
Well,
see.
yeah,
Well, also
it's
because I really want to help them. I want to help them get up and running. And like you said, it's an ongoing struggle to get the funds to take care of these animals. They need the dentist and they need the vaccinations, and it's over $1,000 a month just on their feed. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yeah.
well, I appreciate you sharing. Not that some people shouldn't follow through with their plans to open the sanctuary and run it, but for those of us who are not equipped, it's not our calling. Be open that your calling may be to work there or support them in some way.
Yeah.
And it's same with anything, and the animals, I believe, I know, I experience, they give us, signs, like, I don't know, I mean, we've talked many times with your animals and the work that you've done in the past, and you were never as, attached and committed to the well-being of the pigs as you are now, so we can shift our affinity, right?
I
And
had no idea.
yeah, yeah. So again, that's part of the intuitive life and way that I just want to help people notice in your own lives that living it's not just talking to an animal or get how do I get a knowing and I'm going to meditate about it. That's can be a part of it for some people, but it's also following the stepping stones of just where you're being led by the animals into what you're doing and being flexible. And as you do that, it all sort of blossoms, like you said, that you're really satisfied and enjoying this new stage of your life.
Yeah, it's amazing. And actually, a funny thing, another thing about this being open is also asking, literally out loud, to surrender control of what it's going to look like. I had no idea what it was going to look like. I just was like, I just want to go visit. That was step one. Just go
Yeah.
visit. And I didn't know what would be after that. Then there was another thing. Then there was a fundraiser in Copenhagen that I, made my
Mhm.
full-time job to get that up and running. And then I am very creative and I have a lot of ideas, but I don't always know how to get them on paper and look nice because I'm not a graphic designer. So one day I was going to the doctor actually, and I just said out loud in the car, oh, please send me some assistance. I don't know how to get all the ideas out there. I go into the doctor's office and this woman stands in front of me and says, Noreen? And I didn't really know her. She's like, I've been writing to you. So
Oh.
Her story is that she had a dream about a pig. She's an American living in Denmark. Had a dream that she had to save a pig, and she contacted the animal sanctuary, and then she saw that I was working with the she follows me on Instagram, and then um, wanted to know how she could help. And then I said, you know what? I was so blown away. I was like, can we have a cup of tea? So we went to a cafe and we had a cup of tea. She's a graphic designer.
Oh my gosh.
So she has done all the work. She's done an amazing job. She's a volunteer. And it's because I didn't know what form my help was going to come, but there she was. And she helps me all the time. And I write to her and say, can you make this sign for me? We need a brochure for the visiting day. And, and then I say, oh, put a little Santa hat on the cow. And, and she makes it happen.
This is great. All right, we're running out of time.
I know we're all over the place, but it's okay because this is what it's about, right? That life takes us in different directions.
That's for sure, and don't worry about dinner when you're supposed to be eating breakfast, right?
That's right.
The pigs don't worry. All right, thank you so much. We're gonna put all your info so people can donate to the pigs. They can go visit you in Denmark with the pigs, go to Woodstock, whatever, because the whole point is living intuitively to bring the alignment of what it is. And I'm gonna just keep talking to dogs. I have to go talk to one right now. Thank you
Okay.
so much. I look forward to next time.
We'll get you to talk to one of the pigs.
Oh my gosh. I can I'll be on a flight sooner than I think. Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.